Okay. We are back. Weird game this one, wasn't it? It's a funny one because it's in a way it's disappointing, and in another way it's not that disappointing, and it's actually quite a positive result for us. And I think that kind of sums up the way that I want to talk about this game in general. The Discord's pinging. The way I want to talk about this game in general, and a lot of the players that played in this game, it was just very up and down, and it was like neither team really wanted to be good today. Neither team wanted to be bad today. It was a bit of a mixed bag for overall. Let me do my checks as always. Let me just pause the stream, get my chat out. What about the chat? I still don't know why the chat doesn't actually show up on the side there. I've changed the source multiple times. It just doesn't fix it. So there we go. But yeah, I think the most important thing we can kind of take away from this game is that we saw a lot of things that do not work. We saw a lot of things that do work. We saw the fact that we were resilient enough to be able to get more than 0 points against the team that are in the top 5, which is nice. And in general, we saw Chelsea get above Arsenal into third place, so that's the main thing. And so, yeah, I think I think I'll take a draw. I said in my preview that I did think that this game would be a low-scoring draw. I was expecting it actually to be a 0-0, but obviously I predicted a 1-0 to be a bit more optimistic and a bit more positive. But I wasn't particularly confident for this game, especially when I saw the lineups for the two teams, and Arsenal basically fielded their normal 11. Despite having all these apparent injury worries. And yeah, luckily, obviously, we played Parma. I was very surprised to see Gusto playing, and we'll get on to Gusto in a little bit here. Let's hit the intro, and then we'll talk about this game, and we'll go through the points. Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and welcome to Season 2 of Feeling Blue. Let's go. Alright, welcome back to Feeling Blue. Now, as usual, I've got 7 points, my lucky number of 7 points. And then at the end, we'll crown our true blue. I think this is pretty obvious. Out of two, I mean, well, I think there's kind of 3 players that can go in here, but I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah, so that's one of the things which I'm going to kind of talk about in this. You're talking about Palmer's position, and I think it's not Palmer's position that's particularly the problem. It's actually the position of someone else. And you know what? We'll get into that point immediately because it's the one bad that I have. And then we can kind of talk about more positive things that I've got a few things that are going in these 2 boxes. And it's for Malo Gusto. Now, this is not for him or his performance particularly. Yes, he did a few things wrong in this game, and he obviously missed an open goal with a header, but the reason why he's in here, and this is not his fault, it's because his position and the way that Maresca is playing him is the reason that we are not doing well, and the reason why I believe in my heart of hearts we did not win this game, because him playing is forcing us to play this really lopsided team where it pushes our best players out of position. Now, I know that this is specifically because James cannot play in this position. This is where James was supposed to be playing, and if James was playing here and he was fit enough to play here, then I think it would be much less of a problem. But the simple fact is, what you are doing by putting Gusto in this inside 10 position on the right hand side is you're forcing not only Palmer to play on the left hand side, where he is quite frankly not very good, and you're also putting a player that has absolutely no creative bone in his body into one of the most important positions of this system and where your goals come from. Now, he gave James that little cameo at the end, and he actually played in this position, which was interesting to me, and that kind of signals to me that Maresca is trying to build James's fitness up in the coming games, and eventually he will put James back in there when he thinks he's ready to actually play that position, because it is a very demanding position, and I'm not going to blame Gusto too much. He's not naturally supposed to be there. He's just not. He really isn't. He is such a good player when he is able to overlap and get into positions where he is wide right, and he is staying close to the touchline. When he comes inside, he does not have the vision to be able to play passes, like incisive passes into the box, and because he is a right-footed player, he can't cut onto his left foot and switch it across the other side of the pitch and let other players do that. And the reason why this is frustrating to me, and we'll move into the medium here as a segue, is because it's putting Palmer in this horrendous position where he cannot do anything. And he tries his hardest, and you can tell he is trying his hardest. And the reason why I put him in medium is because despite him playing in this horrible position, I do think he had his moments in this game. He is the player that should be playing where Gusto is playing. And Gusto can play where Palmer is playing. If they swap, it's fine. The issue is, because Gusto is playing, and we have Cucurella playing as the third centre back, we can't put Palmer on that right hand side. And it's exactly what I spoke about in my preview. I said it's annoying that if we were to, and I spoke about it with James as the example, is that it's annoying that when Gusto plays, it just forces our best player, let's be frank, he is our best player, to be out of position. For what? For what? What do we gain with Gusto being there? Nothing. What we should be doing in these games, we know how good Gusto can be defensively. We know how good he is going backwards because we saw it last season. We saw he was one of the best defensive players in our team. So why is he not playing as that third centre-back and letting Cucurella play in that inside role, that inverted role, where he is very, very good? We saw that under Pochettino, that Cucurella can play in that inverted role and be very, very deadly there. And then have Palmer playing in the inside 10 where Gusto is, where he's naturally supposed to be and the most suited for that role. It just doesn't make sense. And obviously we see Palmer just basically unable to get involved and having to go really, really wide to the touchline to even get a touch on the ball. And again, I think he got into the game a bit more in the second half. I think that he was being man-marked pretty well in this game, and we were kind of cancelling each other out in that regard, Chelsea and Arsenal, because we actually did the one thing which I said I really wanted to see our team do, and that's we man-marked Martin Ødegaard out of the game. He basically got no touches of the ball, and it was constantly up to Rice and his defensive partner to try and play the incisive balls forward, and you know Declan Rice is never going to play a ball forward. That's not what he does. He doesn't do that. He's a backwards and sideways merchant. So they basically didn't create much in the first half. We didn't create much in the first half either. And in the second half, it was a bit of, you have your moments, we have our moments. You have your moments, we have our moments. And it was a bit more back and forth. Now, I'm going to I've done this backwards. I kind of like doing this backwards, actually, because I can talk about the good things at the end. Let's continue with the mediums. Now, I'm going to be putting a medium for Robert Sanchez. And this is, again, because he is going to be the death of us at some point. We know that he is going to cost us points at some point. Now, do I think that the goal that we concede is his fault? Not particularly. I think he can probably do better because it is at his near post, but when it's that close, I know this as being a person that has played as a goalkeeper. When it's that close, you basically are just, I'm going to make myself as big as possible and hope it hits me. You really can't do much there, so I'm not going to blame him that much for that. In fact, I think it's more of Colwell's fault for playing everyone onside. And the reason why I'm putting him in the medium and not in the bad box or in the good box is because, again, like I spoke about at the top of the episode, he was one of those players where he had his moments, but he also had his bozo moments, right? Like, I do think his passing was a little bit improved, but we did see, again, him kind of punching things when he could just easily claim them, and instead of launching it quickly from counterattacks, he was holding it and not letting us get forward. And then it's just things like that frustrate me, and it's like, oh, he could be doing so much better, and like spilling shots and stuff. But the reason why he is in the medium box, and the reason why I'm giving him a little bit of credit here, is because he absolutely saved us at the end of the game with two very, very important saves. One of them was obviously later ruled out to be offside anyway, so wouldn't have mattered, but he wouldn't know that. Very, very good save from him. Somehow Trossard does not... I have no clue how Trossard doesn't absolutely bury the rebound, but there we go. But yeah, I think it's come to this point where Sanchez is one of those goalkeepers where you're either going to see the best of him or the worst of him, and it's like... This was the very rare occasion where we get to see a bit of both, that it's just like he's never consistently like, cool, this is a middle of the road goalkeeper that can do his job, not get you into too much trouble. It's always, he could be superb in one instance and then utterly woeful in another in the same game, and it's just it's frustrating. But I'm going to put him in the medium because, as I said, I think he had some good moments today, but also some really bad moments. The last thing that's going in the medium is for the defense, because again, like Sanchez, they had their moments in this game. Our defense were very solid at times. I would like to shout out specifically Levi Colwill. I think Colwill was very solid defensively today, and also trying to be the one that can kind of create things from that back line. But again, Colwill is the reason that we conceded, because he doesn't step up and he plays everyone on side, so he goes in the medium. As for Fofana, I think Fofana had some very good moments too, tracking back, being pacey, winning the ball back. The driving runs through the centre of the pitch were very good to see. But again, sometimes when that happens and you drive all the way up the pitch, you just leave the man in behind, and it's like, ugh. But I think Fofana in general was relatively decent today. I'm not going to discredit him that much, but just in general, the defence I would say is a bit medium, because we did well in some instances and then did poorly in other instances. One defender that did not do poor in any instance today is, if my thing would load, come on, don't cuck me here. There we go. Marc Cucurella. This was a classic Marc Cucurella performance, and it's really good to see him back in the limelight, back kind of repaying that 50 million that we paid for him, or 45 million, or however much it was, and having not only the skill to be able to be defensively solid, tenacious, cutting into tackles, cutting out the balls, but also just having that passion of just playing with the shirt on, and, you know, like playing with your heart on your sleeve. He was absolutely everywhere today. After running around for about 89 minutes of this game and basically putting his soul onto the pitch, he is busting a gut to not only win the ball but then play us up the pitch. Absolutely wonderful. He is going to come home today, Marc Cucurella, and he's going to sit down. He's going to sit down on his couch, and he's going to be looking at the highlights or whatever. He's going to empty his pockets. He's going to find his wallet. He's going to find his keys, and he's going to find Bukayo Saka, because Saka did not get any change from him today. Genuinely, any change from him. He could not get past him at all. And we saw classic Saka gets injured, limps off the pitch at the end of the game, and it just goes to credit. He only does that when he plays against a left back that has kind of shut him down. That's the only time he ever does that. So there we go. Cuckoo just had a really good game today. And again, it's frustrating, because I think that he could be even better if he was playing in the Gusto role, but he's not. I don't think Gusto's at fault for the goal. I think if we're going to put blame on actual players, and who I think is at blame for that goal, Colwill is at blame for that goal, because he plays everyone on side. Madueke is at fault for that goal, because he doesn't track Timber. That's who I would... no, not Timber. Gusto is with Timber. He doesn't track Martinelli, who he should be marking. So those two I would single out. If it was one person's fault, I wouldn't single either of them out, though. I think it's just a collective kind of lapse in the defence. In general, I think our defence was very narrow in that instance, and they probably could have closed down the ball quicker, for example. But yeah, the one defender I will not discredit is Cucurella, because he was just everywhere today. It's so good seeing him play like this well consistently now. See, that's the thing. I don't think that Lavia's at fault either, because I think that he gets... it's a calamitous situation, and I think, again, this goes all the way back. It's a domino effect. It goes back to Gusto playing in this position, right? Because he's playing here, it puts Palmer on the left-hand side. Palmer gives a hospital pass to Cucurella, who gives a hospital pass to Lavia, who then gets dispossessed. And it's just like, if Palmer's not there, on the opposite side, that doesn't happen. So, there we go. Moises Caicedo was very good today, was our captain, and is going in the box. He's my second good today, because, again, this was a game where you watch him and you understand why his nickname is the Octopus, because he is just absolutely everywhere. He reaches absolutely everything, and one moment he's up the pitch creating, the next he's on the goal line blocking a shot, and it's just like, where do you get the energy from? I get tired just watching him. I'm sitting here with having heart palpitations. But yeah, Caicedo again, like I usually say with Palmer, I run out of superlatives to talk about this man. He is by far the best midfielder in the league. If we're talking about defensive mid players, that is by far the best one. I think even though Rodri has just won the Ballon d'Or, I think he's better. I genuinely think he's better. I would if they were to say in this Chelsea team, would you take Rodri? No, I'd say no. We've got Caicedo. I don't need him. Obviously, I think in actuality, Rodri is the better player at this current time. He's more established, but Caicedo is getting there. He's really, really getting there, and he is putting the whole midfield on his back, because when we get situations like this where Lavia has a slightly worse than usual game. I don't think it was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he was as good as we've seen him. He has to step up. When Enzo comes onto the pitch, and Enzo is obviously a little bit less defensively responsible, he has to step up. Credit to Enzo, I will say. He came off the bench today, provided an assist immediately. I would have liked to see him play a little tiny bit deeper and not be rushing up the pitch all the time, but there we are. He's not going in the box just because I haven't got the space. However, he did create the goal, and of course, you guys know this is coming. The final point and the final box today is for Pedro Neto, because as the title says, he rescued us a point today, and it's again, this is another situation where I kind of want to put him in the medium box, because earlier in the game when he's on the left wing, he's so frustrating. So frustrating, because we're sitting there and Gary Neville is talking about it on commentary. Just run at Ben White, man. Just run. Just go. It's so frustrating, because he sees that he's got the beating of him. He sees he's got the beating of him. He puts the cross in to Gusto after he beats Ben White, and Gusto obviously misses it. That should have been an assist for Neto. However, despite me getting on his back, and he could have done better, he still did very, very well. And obviously when Mudryk comes on, and again, credit to Maresca. Again, up and down for Maresca, because I think a bad point to take away from Maresca is that he played Gusto here, but a good point is that the substitutions were good. He brings on Mudryk, he brings on Enzo, he swaps Neto to the right-hand side, and Neto goes, hey, you see that Madueke bloke? I'm better than him. I'm going to show you in about 4 minutes. And he gets the ball in the centre of the pitch from a nice inside pass from Enzo, and absolutely slaps it bottom corner. Absolutely slaps it, and it's nice. Isn't it nice to us to finally have some players in our team that can strike the ball purely? We haven't had that in so many years. This guy just absolutely thundercunts it into the bottom corner, and it's nice to see him actually, you know, getting to prove that he should be playing on the right hand side, because when we got we have the 4 wingers, right? The four main wingers. We have Neto Madueke for the right-hand side. We have Mudryk Sancho for the left-hand side. And that was such a good setup. And it was like, yes, this is excellent. We can have either Madueke and Sancho, or Mudryk and Madueke, or Mudryk and Neto, or Neto and Sancho. We can have all those different combinations and have them both be going inside onto their stronger foots, which is how those players play better, rather than having Neto on his weaker side. And then obviously Sancho has this illness, and then he gets a knock, and it kind of throws us out of whack. And we get to see Neto on this left hand side, and it's like, yeah, he's good there and he can play there. And obviously we saw when he was playing for Wolves, he was a very versatile player and could play on either side, but he's so good on the right, and that's where he thrives. That's where he thrives. And that's where we get our goal from, and that's where he rescues us a point from. And that point, luckily, we get given a favour by our old chums up north in Newcastle, where Newcastle obviously beat Nottingham Forest today, 3-1. And because of that, because we bettered the result of Nottingham Forest, we move up to 3rd place. And that's crazy, because we come away from this game feeling quite sad because we haven't won, we haven't beaten Arsenal, but we're up to 3rd. We're up to 3rd place. Where did this come from, eh? I can't believe it. The start of this season, when I was like, yeah, we should be challenging for top 4, but I was quite pessimistic, and I was like, we probably won't though. And now we're up there, and admittedly, obviously, we're drawing on points with 3 other teams, that being Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, and Brighton, and only 1 point ahead of Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa. But still, we're there, and we've got some easier games coming up. We've just gone through a run of really difficult games, and obviously, let me actually check the schedule. So, because have we got an international break? Yeah, I think we got an international break. We have the international break, and then we've got Leicester City on the 23rd of November. which is pretty good. See, that's the thing. I think Villa is the tough game for us. I don't think Spurs is that much of a tough game for us. We have Leicester next. Leicester, I don't think are going to be an issue for us at all. They have not been particularly very good. It would be very funny though if Leicester were to beat us, considering we now have Leicester's old coach. Yeah, I don't think that. I said Spurs are one of those teams where I just don't think that their play style. You have certain teams where they match up well together, and I think that Spurs under Ange Postecoglou is one of those teams that's always going to be a really easy game for us because of how much space they leave in behind. This is why this game with Arsenal is very, very difficult, because they don't do that. They are actually quite stubborn. They quite sit back and they will actually defend. Whereas Spurs are like, you know what, we're going to press you high up to the halfway line, and we saw that firsthand last season, where. where they somehow, even despite being 9 men to 11, they decided, hey, we're going to stand on the halfway line. And it was really weird. And we obviously beat them quite comfortably. As I said, Villa would probably be a much harder game. They are doing so well this season. And they were doing even better last season. They're still doing very well this season. And I guarantee, by the way, if we play Villa, if they get a winning goal in that game, it's 100% going to be John Duran, like 100%, because we didn't sign him. 100% it will be him. But yeah, so our next game is on Saturday the 23rd of November after the international break at the King Power against Leicester City, and it's a lunchtime kickoff, a 12:30 kickoff, so that's fun. Which means that the preview for that will obviously be out on the Friday the 22nd, so look forward to that. I'll probably make a video or two, maybe in the break, international break if I can. Probably be a little bit different to what I've been doing. I'm going through a bit of a I'm going through a bit of a weird a weird like midlife crisis with my channel in these last few kind of weeks, where I feel like I want to switch things up, and I feel like I want to kind of do things differently when it comes to doing my previews and doing my reviews and stuff. Maybe that's just the ADHD talking, but there we are. I'm obviously, as I've said, I'm getting a hardware update soon, so hopefully I can actually do a bit more stuff than I've been able to do. Hopefully the streams go a bit better, and hopefully the the quality of things can rise when that does come in. So yeah, but as I said, I'll open the poll so you guys can vote for your true blue. If I can remember how to do it, there we go. Who is the true blue for you? You guys can vote, and I'm going to put in the 3 options here. I don't think there's anyone else I could put in here, other than the 3 that I've put in the box, but we'll do that. There we go. So you guys can vote, and whilst you're doing that, I'll take a sip of my coffee. I might do some reacts. Another thing I need to do is I need to be getting back on the TikTok. I had so many plans, and I have like a list. I have like a document of like a list of like things I want to do for TikTok. I've just not gotten around to doing it because I've just been so busy. Like my life is just so hectic all the time. I like trying to like do the videos and handle having not only someone that I look after, an older person that I look after, but also having like my family stuff as well, and also having to try and find time for me to do stuff that I want to do. It's an absolute nightmare at times. But yeah, wouldn't change it for the world though. I'll let you guys vote, and I think it's very obvious who you're going for. Yeah, it's so one-sided. In fact, I'll just end the poll. But yeah, we get in, if the thing would actually come up. Hello? There we go. Pedro Neto is our true blue today. Who will be the true blue next time? We'll have to wait and see. Thank you guys for hanging out as ever. And yeah, as I said, the next video will probably be out on the Friday before the game. If not, it'll probably be a couple of days before, maybe. I might do it a little bit early because I've got the time to, because we've got the two weeks off. But yeah, you guys enjoy your evening. Enjoy your international break as well. And I'll see you guys the next time. I'm going to hit the outro. I fumbled it right at the end. And that was just my Feeling Blue match review for this game. I hope to see you here for the next one. But if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these 2 videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.